My name is Rachel Inniss. I am the assistant coach here at Penn State for women's gymnastics, and this is my third season. Born and raised in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Family is very close. One of my best friends always jokes that like every Sunday is like a family reunion. My church is all family. Like my grandfather was the pastor, my aunt was the music director. We had deacons that were family members, so every Sunday was kind of like a family reunion. You know, to me, Grandpa Frank was just Grandpa Frank, and he was just the pastor of our church, but he actually worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with one of his biggest legacies. It's called SELC, which is the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. A few years past that, my grandfather actually opened a chapter, and after the assassination of Dr. King, he worked really closely with Martin Luther King III and Coretta Scott King. Growing up, I did go to a lot of fundraising and banquets and things like that. You know, I was just the 5-year-old Rachel that was just like, oh, another banquet, not really understanding like the power that was happening in that room. I had a lot of things working against me because gymnastics in New Mexico isn't the most popular thing to do. So that was a little bit kind of learn as you go. Also being the person where I couldn't look across the gym and see someone that looked like me. I didn't have someone that really understood what I was going through or even what my background would be for them to relate. I would say that I didn't really have that until I got to college, and that was a little bit of a culture shift. And after the learning curve and everything that came along with that, I think I became to embrace a little bit more of just things that were very natural to me that I kind of kept below surface because of what was allowed and what was acceptable and what wasn't. Our team was extremely diverse, so that was a little bit different. And also jumping into the Southern culture, that was something that I had no idea about. So I actually had a little bit of learning to do myself. And then going to Disney, there was tights and shoes and all these things, but there was one color. And there were some times where I would do parade route in 6 shades of brown. And by the time I left, there were tights that were my color, they painted my shoes, and so I've been able to kind of see each moment of my life, each chapter kind of morph into being a little bit more diverse and a little bit more accepting, just because of having hard conversations. I have a 8-year-old that I go home to, a little daughter named Charlotte that I go home to every night. And she actually asks me the hard questions that sometimes I don't really have the answers to. But honestly, this generation right here, right now, just wants to be seen and heard. And sometimes that doesn't change things right away. The noise has to be a little louder, but just knowing that they have someone that has their back and understands where they're coming from, I do hope that you are able to see a lot of diversity, and I hope that there is a lot of representation for everyone out there. I hope that there's not one way to do it and there are no stereotypes, and just everyone just embracing what they love, which really is just the sport of gymnastics.